G'day guys, today we're going to be taking a look at a brand new OS which is being developed specifically for these R36S clones called RetrOS. It is still based on the stock firmware, but it claims to have fixed the joystick mapping issues that some people have had, and also better wireless adapter support. It was only publicly released a few days ago, and is still very early in its development, so I'm not expecting it to be perfect. Let's get into it. We're over on our Windows PC now, and to get started, we've just gone to the RetrOS GitHub page. I will link it down in the description below. It's going to scroll down a little bit, and we can see straight away it says it is not for real R36S consoles. It does only work on the clones. It also tells us a little bit about it, the current issues, and what they're aiming for. To download, we just scroll back up and click on the mega download link. On this page, just click download. Once that's finished downloading, we'll also need to get a program that'll write the image to our SD card. Going back to Google, type in Rufus. Top link, rufus.ie. Scroll down, and I like to download the portable version, so 4.6p at the time of making this video. You'll also need something that can handle XZ compression. I like to use 7-zip. If you don't already have it installed, just go back to Google, type in 7-zip, one word. Top result, 7zip.org, and download the correct version for your computer. Most likely the top link, 64-bit. Once all three are finished downloading, we can close off Chrome and open up our downloads folder. Over in our downloads folder, you should have the RetrOS image, as well as Rufus. If you did download 7-zip, just double click on it and follow the on-screen prompts to install. Next, we want to extract our RetrOS image. Just right click on it, go to 7-zip, and go to extract here. You should now have the RetrOS image extracted. From here, we're just going to insert our microSD card into our USB microSD reader. I'm using a 32 gig SanDisk card just in this test. We'll pop it into the computer, and we'll open up Rufus. Under device, make sure your SD card is selected. So for me, 32 gig, that's the correct one. Under boot selection, it should say disk or ISO image. To the right of that, we want to click select. Navigate to our downloads folder where we extracted the image. And there it is there, RetrOS preview1.img. Double click on it. We'll leave everything else the same. Double check you have the correct SD card selected under device. You will lose all your data on the SD card when writing this, so make sure it's either empty or there's nothing on there you want to keep. Click start when ready. Click OK. And it should start writing the image. Once it's finished writing, we can just click close, and we'll safely eject our SD card. It's at the bottom, right click, and eject mass storage device. We'll pop the SD card into our R36S clone and power it on. So we're just putting the SD card into the right hand side slot, not the left one. Make sure the left slot is empty. If you have your ROM's SD card in there, it probably won't try and boot from the SD card we just put in slot 1. Power it on. Straight away we get the RetrOS screen, which is awesome. It's a good sign. They did mention on the GitHub page, it currently takes around 30 seconds to boot each time, but they are working on getting that down. And there we have it. It actually only took around 10 seconds to boot, which is pretty good. You can see we have no games on there. There's no ports, options, or tools menu either. So pressing start brings up your main menu. You've got EmuELEC settings, nothing too special in there. Game settings, again, nothing too much in here. UI settings, controller settings, sound, network settings, we'll definitely take a look at that a bit later. System settings, and our power down menu. Go in here, go to shut down system. We'll pop the SD card back into our computer and copy some games over. Just inserting the SD card back into our reader once more, and we'll plug it into the computer. So straight away, we can see our EasyROMs partition is only 700 meg. It didn't automatically expand. Again, on the GitHub notes, they did mention it currently doesn't automatically expand, but they are working on that for a future release. So for now, we will have to manually expand it. The easiest way is just using disk management. No third-party tools required. So first, we want to back up all the system folders. So open up EasyROMs, Control-A, select everything, Control-C to copy. I'll create a new folder on our computer, and we'll just call it RetrOS. And I will paste all of these system folders into here. So Control-V to paste. It shouldn't take too long. Once it's finished copying, we want to open up Windows Disk Management. Just right-click on the Start menu and click on Disk Management. In here, we want to scroll down on the bottom pane, and we should see our SD card. Here it is here. So EmuELEC, Healthy Partition, EEROMs, that's our ROMs partition, and unallocated. Unfortunately, we can't just expand it. As you can see, it's grayed out. There's no extend. So instead, we're going to delete the volume. Click yes. Right click on unallocated. Click new simple volume. Click next, next, next. Make sure it's FAT32, and under volume label, I'm going to delete that. We want to type in capital EEROMS. Make sure quick format is ticked and click next. Double check all the settings are correct and click finish. And now we have our 26 gig Easy ROMs partition, or EEROMs partition. Obviously, depending on the size of your SD card, the size will be bigger or smaller. So with that done, we can close off disk management. Make sure you click cancel if it asks you to format. Now we want to copy all of these system folders we just backed up back to our EEROMs partition. So Control A if not already selected, Control C to copy, go to EEROMs, should be empty, and Control V to paste it in. Once it's finished copying, we're pretty much ready to go. All we want to do now is copy our games over to the correct folders. So for example, for Game Boy games, you would copy them into the GB folder, Game Boy Advance into the GBA folder, and so on. I'll copy a bunch of test ROMs over, including DOS and some ports, and we'll come back. Once again, just putting our SD card into the right-hand side slot, or slot 1, and making sure slot 2, or the left-hand side slot, is empty. And we'll just power it back on. There's our RetrOS screen again, which is a great sign. We didn't damage anything when we resized the partition. And we're back on the main menu. Let's take a look at what systems it detected. So we did find Nintendo DS, which is good, 64, NES, Game Boy Advance, SNES, PlayStation, and PSP. Unfortunately, didn't detect any of our DOS games or our ports. I have gone through the main menu, and there is nothing to enable ports. It looks like it is currently broken on this version. We'll start off with something simple, like Nintendo. Let's try Mega Man 2. So it loads up fine. It is using the RetrOS core. The left joystick is also mapped to the D-pad, which is handy. So if you don't like using the D-pad or it's a bit stiff, you can use the joystick. And everything works as expected. We'll see what the function button does. It brings up the RetrOS menu. We'll see if it's mapped as a hotkey. And it isn't. So it is just the RetrOS menu. It looks like select is our main hotkey. So select and X brings up the menu. We'll try save state, which is usually select and R2. And that changes the save slot and also toggles fast forward. So it looks like it's mapped to two different things. We can obviously change that in the RetrOS settings, but it is a bit annoying that by default it is mapped to two separate functions. If you did want to change it, just go to settings, go down to input, go down to hotkeys. So here is where you would change all of your hotkey bindings. We'll leave it as stock for now. And we'll exit out of this and try a different system. So to exit should be select and start twice. And it is. I think next we'll try some Nintendo 64. We'll start with Super Mario 64. And unfortunately, it does lock up the system. I did have the same issue when I was testing this, and it did happen with every N64 game I tried. Unfortunately, there's no way to exit out. The blue light is still on, but the system is locked up. You can just press the reset button on the left side of the system though. Next we'll try some GBA. We'll try DKC2. I'm expecting this to run pretty much perfectly. I would be surprised if there's any slowdown. And you can see it's using the MGBA core in RetrOS. We can enable fast forward, which will also change the save slot. There it is there. And as expected, it is running full speed with no issues. I will try manually save state. So to do that, just press function to bring up the RetrOS menu. Go down to save states, go to save. Then I'll move around a little bit. We'll bring it back up, go to load. And so save states do work. You probably would want to fix the hotkey mapping just in the settings we showed earlier if you were planning on using this full time. Again, exit out, select and start. We'll try Super Nintendo, again DKC2, and once again it does work perfectly. All of the buttons seem to be mapped correctly as well, which is good. So no issues with Super Nintendo. Next up, we'll try Nintendo DS. Try Mario Kart DS, something nice and easy. So it does load almost instantly, which is good. So it seems to run fine, no lag spikes, and no real graphical glitches. One thing I've noticed is you cannot make it go into single screen, full screen mode. Pressing L2, which usually does that, does nothing. Pressing R2 does change the layout, but again, only left and right or top and bottom. So not really ideal. It would be nice to have the option to have one screen as full screen, especially for something like Mario Kart, where only the top screen is doing anything. The bottom one's just for maps. Pressing the left joystick in should bring up the menu, and it does. Nothing special here. Let's go down to exit. Next, we'll try something a little bit more demanding, PlayStation 1. And we'll just do Crash Bandicoot. It did detect our bin and queue file as separate games. I'm not too sure which one's which. I'll just try the first option, and it did load fine. You can see I am using the stock BIOS, haven't copied the correct BIOS over, and it does run fine as well. Last up, we'll try PSP, and we'll go with the usual Mega Man powered up. Does seem to run fine. We do have the usual occasional lag spikes, which we have had on both the real R36S and also on these clones running the different OSs. So PSP runs about the same as you would expect. Nothing fancy here. Pressing the left joystick in did save state. Select and L2 brings up the PPSSPP menu, which is an interesting hotkey choice. But again, you could obviously change it under settings. That's it for games tests. I think now we will try my wireless adapters and see if any of them actually work. It's worth noting, none of these adapters have worked on any of the OSs that I've tried on this clone, but they do all work on the official R36S running RetrOS. So these are the 3 wireless adapters we'll be trying. One of the features mentioned in the GitHub on this release was that they are hoping to add better wireless support. As usual, we'll be using our cheap USB-C to USB-A adapter. I think first we'll press start, go down to network settings, scroll down. So enable Wi-Fi is checked by default, and we'll start with the TP-Link one. Plugging it in, plug it into the OTG port, which is the right-hand side port. No lights blinked on the adapter. And we'll go to Wi-Fi SSD, and nothing. We will give it a minute or two. All right, it's been about 2 minutes, still nothing. So we'll try the next adapter, unplug it. We'll try this cheap little one here. Go back to SSD, refresh it, nothing. We'll give it another 2 minutes. All right, it's been about 2 minutes, and still nothing. We'll unplug that, and we'll try our last one. Here it is here, plugging it in. This one did flash when I connected it. I'll disconnect it. There we go there, you can see it is on, so that's good. So still nothing under SSD, but the light is still on. We'll give it a minute or two again. It's been about 2 minutes. The light hasn't changed, it's not flashing, and still no networks found. It's worth noting I have tried booting the system with these wireless adapters connected, one at a time, see if that helps. I have tried waiting longer, but unfortunately, all 3 of these don't work. Overall, I think RetrOS just isn't ready yet, but it has only been out for a few days. Hopefully they get some of the bugs ironed out, maybe remap the hotkeys so they are all unique, and it would be great getting DOS and ports working on this. Also, it would be good having extra wireless adapter support for box art scraping, but also for potentially accessing the terminal and maybe installing a desktop environment to turn it into a little pocket PC, like you could on the R36S running RetrOS. Performance-wise, it's very, very similar to the stock OS that's built in. It does have a nicer theme though, so it at least has that going for it. This is definitely one to keep an eye on, and hopefully they do continue development on it. I think that'll do it for today. If anyone has any questions or comments, let me know down below. Otherwise, thanks for watching.